Well, I don't know about this.
No.
Oh, we're going to see what happens. Oh, that's not bad. All right. Shabbat Shalom, Israelite family. Greetings to the 12 tribes scattered into the four corners of the earth, according to the prophecies of this book. Greetings to the 144,000 servants who are among them, who are being prepared to give a last warning message to those people that belong to the Most High still in Babylon and in Laodicea. Greetings. Greetings to the Gentiles who are our brothers, not according to the blood of man, but according to the blood of the Messiah, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, and according to the perfect righteousness of our Father. Greetings. Greetings to the chat. Akmar, Chaplain Lewis, Akawan Banya, Only One Way, Yakoba, Brother Gary, Joseph, Yashayahu, Yisrael, Superstar, Heavenly Garden, Zadok, all of the Israelite brothers and sisters, Isha Shama, and her husband Shama, D-Vibes, greetings. We have been studying Don Hines, shalom. We have been studying the epistle of the Apostle Paul to the Romans. And we are in chapter 13 today. Brother Walter, greetings. And we are in chapter 13 today. And I want to, chapter 13 of Romans and chapter 12, for that matter, really do talk about our present situation. Really do talk about our present situation. Why do I say that? Well, because when Messiah came on the earth as a man, when he was born of a woman, and he walked the earth in the name of the Father Yah, and was brought forth by the Father Yah, our people were in captivity in their own land. What do I mean by that? The Romans, the Empire of Rome ruled the world, and they ruled our people in Israel at that time. They were Roman soldiers stationed as a garrison in Jerusalem and in Judea. And they answered to Caesar. As a matter of fact, we know that even the birth of the Messiah proves that, because his mother and his stepfather were taxed by Caesar. And that's why they ended up having to go to the house of their tribe, Bethlehem, for a census, because Caesar ordered that. So they were captives in their own land. And it wasn't the first time they were captives. We know that they started off as sojourners in the land of Canaan, as Abraham was. And then eventually from Joseph, our fathers went down into Mizraim, which is now called Egypt. And then after that, because of sin of worshiping other gods, they ended up being in captivity in Babylon, followed by the Medes and the Persians, followed by the Greeks, and then finally, as we mentioned, the Romans. So our people have been in captivity a lot. I mean, many, many times. And now, of course, according to the Bible prophecy, we went into captivity beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, to a land whose speech we didn't understand, to people that were not a people. And we went in chains and on slave ships according to prophecy. And so now the true Israelite nation is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And is just now, in these last days, awakening according to Bible prophecy as to who they are. Just awakening now, as the Most High Yah had ordained. After all of these centuries, we're now being awakened as to who we are, and the importance of that is to fulfill the prophecy of the Most High, to fulfill his word in causing his people to be sanctified in him and causing the heathen to see that. And then giving glory to him in bringing back his people from, as it were, the dust, as Ezekiel 37 points out. Okay? So this is the part of where we are now. We're in our enemy's land. Now, listen, and we're going to talk about this today, but we're not trying to start trouble in our enemy's land. But let us never forget how we got here. How did the Hebrews get into the lands that they're in now? How were we brought to the islands of Jamaica, to Haiti and Dominican Republic? How did we get to Puerto Rico? How did we get to Panama? How did we get to Cuba? How did we get to South America and the various nations there? How did we get to Central America? And of course, how did we get to North America? How did we arrive? Did we decide we wanted a better life and we were going to leave the lands that we were from, and we were just going to try to get a better life for ourselves in new countries? Is that how we got here? No. One of the signs of the true Hebrews of this last days is that question. You see, you can ask a Russian where you're from. They'll tell you, Russia, and my family's from this one, or Belarus, or they'll tell you. You ask a person of Germany, say, where you from? We're from Germany, and we came here to America as immigrants. You ask the Italians, we were from some town in Italy, and we came here in the turn of the century for better options here in the land of the free. Everybody could tell you their story. Where are you from? This is where I'm from. These are my family history. One of the things that tells you who the true Hebrews are is they cannot tell you where they're from without the Bible. Without this book, they cannot tell you where they're from. People, including myself, doing DNA tests and finding our roots in Africa, finding our roots in the West African nations. But we don't know, like, what was our name? What was our language? What was our original name when we were snatched? Because the true Hebrews are scattered into lands that they were taken to as slaves. And they're the only people on earth like that. And if somebody was to say, well, I'm Dominican, I'm from the Dominican Republic. Okay, who discovered the Dominican Republic? Was it a Dominican? No, it was the Spaniards. How did you get there? You was there as Indians, and then you was there also as what's called West Africans, and that's how you got there, as slaves. Somebody say, well, I'm not black, I'm Jamaican. How did you get to the island? Well, did your people discover it? No, you were brought there in slave chains by the English. That's how you got there. And where were you before that? You don't know. You don't know where you was. You don't know what your name was. There's only one people on the planet that has this dilemma. And it's by design. It's by prophecy. Because the way we find out who we are is from this book. Because this book tells us all of these things I just told you. Now, that being the case, we should ask, the question should be asked of all of us that discover who we really are. What's the question? Why were we brought in this condition? Why did this happen to us? Why were we permitted to be brought to strange lands, losing who we are as a people to take on cultures that's not ours to survive? Why did this happen? Was it simply because of the evil of the Christians? Was it simply because of the evil of the children of Yafet or the Arabs? Why were we permitted to be brought into these situations? That's a question everybody that wants to, if you want to know who you are, that's the question you need to ask. This book tells us the answer, and we're going to read about it today. But we were brought into these lands because of disobedience, because we have a God. It's not a religion. It's the God of our fathers that created a nation out of the bloodline of our fathers. It's a God that called our fathers and did miracles for our fathers and gave our fathers land that belonged to one of Ham's sons, Canaan, and gave us his statutes and laws and commandments and told us, if you obey this, I'm always going to be with you and bless you. And what did we do? We worship the gods of the Hamites. And because of the gods, worship of the gods of the Hamites, we ended up being taken into slavery and captivity. And to the final one where he removed us to the four corners of the earth and we forgot who our names was. We forgot everything about him. And we started worshiping gods of wood and stone, Christianity and Islam. That's what we did. That's what we are still doing. But now that we are awakening, what is our position in our enemy's lands? The Bible shows us. How should we be acting in our enemy's lands? Now that we know who we are. How should we act? Should we be at war in our enemy's lands? Should we be demanding rights in our enemy's lands? Should we be demanding our own separate land in our enemy's lands? Should we be marching on our enemy's government, demanding that they give us reparation in our enemy's lands? Let's see what does the Most High say. Let's take the example of when our fathers went into captivity in Babylon. The Babylonian captivity was the first captivity for Judah after they had gotten into the land, out of the land of Egypt. Now, the northern tribes had already gone into the Assyrian captivity hundreds of years before, okay, before Judah did. But here in Jeremiah, it is the southern kingdom of Judah who the Most High had blessed and took care of longer than the northern tribes because of David. Because of the Most High keeps his promise. He kept promise to Abraham. He keep promise to Isaac. And this one is for David. He said, because of my servant David, I'm going to keep a little candle in Judah. And so here, Jeremiah is going to illustrate by prophecy, this Hebrew Israelite prophet Jeremiah, he's going to illustrate by prophecy the Babylonian captivity and how our fathers were to behave themselves in the land of their enemies. Jeremiah chapter 24. I'm going to read chapter 24 first, and then eventually I'm going to go chapter 25 before we head over to Romans. But Jeremiah chapter 24. Yahweh showed me, and behold, 2 baskets of figs were set before the temple of Yahweh. After that, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away captive Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and the princes of Judah, with the carpenters and smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babylon. One basket had very good figs, even like the figs that are first ripe, and the other basket had very naughty figs, which could not be eaten, they were so bad. Then said Yahweh unto me, what seest thou, Jeremiah? And I said, figs, the good figs, very good, and the evil, very evil, that cannot be eaten, they are so evil. Again, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, thus saith Yahweh, the Most High of Israel, like these good figs, so will I acknowledge them that are carried away captive of Judah, whom I have sent out of this place into the land of the Chaldeans for their good. For I will set mine eyes upon them for good, and will bring them again to this land. And I will build them and not pull them down, and I will plant them and not pluck them up. And I will give them an heart to know me, that I am Yahweh, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Most High. And they shall return unto me with their whole heart. As the evil figs, which cannot be eaten, they are so evil. Surely, thus saith Yahweh, so will I give Zedekiah, the king of Judah, and his princes, and the residue of Jerusalem that remain in this land, and them that dwell in the land of Egypt, I will deliver them to be removed into all kingdoms of the earth, for their hurt, to be a reproach and a proverb, a taunt and a curse in all places where thou have driven them. And I will send the sword, the famine, and the pestilence among them, till they be consumed from off the land that I gave unto them and to their fathers. So he said, in the captivity, there's those that he's going to take care of, and there's those he's going to whip. This was the Babylonian captivity. Let's continue. Chapter 25. I'm gonna read the whole thing. But I'm gonna start, and it's long, but I'm gonna start from verse 1, and I'm gonna go down to verse 7. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah. That was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. The which Jeremiah the prophet spake unto all the people of Judah and to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, from the 13th year of Josiah the son of Ammon, king of Judah, even unto this day, that is the 23rd year, the word of Yahweh hath come unto me, and I have spoken unto you, rising early and speaking, but ye have not hearkened. And Yahweh hath sent unto you all his servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, but ye have not hearkened, nor inclined your ear to hear. They said, turn ye again now, every one from his evil way, from the evil of your doings, and dwell in the land that Yahweh hath given unto you and to your fathers forever and ever. And go not after other gods to serve them and to worship them, and provoke me not to anger with the works of your hands, and I will do you no hurt. Yet ye have not hearkened unto me, saith Yahweh, that ye might provoke me to anger with the works of your hands, to your own hurt. Look, did he say you were stealing from me? Committing adultery? Murdering? Thought he probably was doing all of that. But what was the thing? What's the problem? The main problem? You worshiping other gods. He's a jealous God, our Most High. And he was telling our fathers, you see that Solomon's temple? I put that there for you. You see this land? I put you on this land. You see all of this goodness you got? I gave it to you. And you're worshiping another God? That's the biggest insult you could give the Father. Part of this awakening, brethren, is understanding our God is not the God of the Baptist church. Our God is not the God of the Pentecostal church or any Christian church. Our God is not the God of the Muslims. He's not Allah. Our God is not the God of Buddha or Vishnu or Tao. He's the only true God to us, and he's above all gods. His name is Yah. We call him Yahweh. There is none other. And he has chosen no other people. The first thing we do when we're awakening is come back to that one. Somebody say, what religion are you? I'm of the faith of perfect righteousness. What's that? It's the Most High Yah of a scattered nation. We've been scattered off our land because of disobedience and worshiping other gods. And as we awaken, we return to the only true one, acknowledging why we've been put in slavery, why we've been taken captive, why we didn't know our names, why we don't know our language. Do you remember, if you read Nehemiah, Nehemiah told the Most High that he was embarrassed. Why was he embarrassed? Because after 70 years of captivity, many of the Israelites could not even speak Hebrew anymore. They could not speak Hebrew anymore. And they started taking names of the heathen after 70 years. And he had them divorce their foreign wives. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody here get divorced, but what I'm saying to you is it was a departure from the God of Israel. All of that is what that represented. Where we at right now is a return to the God of Israel. Okay, that's where we're at right now. We're returning to him as individuals. Don't try to look down on people that are still blinded, because all of us was blinded. Don't look down on people that are still ignorant, because all of us was ignorant. We are now awakening to who we are and to who our God is. As individuals, we need to come to him. And brothers and sisters, as we come together as brothers and sisters, the reason we do that is because each of us have that same experience. What experience? Of awakening to who we are, of coming back to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of recognizing why we were in slavery and seeking a return to Father in righteousness and seeking the kingdom of the Father Yah and Messiah. We have that in common. That's what makes us brethren. So here, Jeremiah is testifying that the Most High sent him to his people. And they would not hearken. They were worshiping other gods. Okay. Chapter 25, I'm going to read from verse 8 down to verse 12. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, because ye have not heard my words, behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, saith Yahweh, and Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, my servant. What does that mean? Does that mean Nebuchadnezzar was obedient to the Most High? In this sense, that's what it means. He's not an Israelite. He's a Hamite. But what does it mean? He's ordaining Nebuchadnezzar to punish his people. Now, Nebuchadnezzar later did get converted. But this wasn't even there yet. He wasn't at that point yet. Wouldn't be for a long time. But he came later. But he called Nebuchadnezzar his servant because he was fulfilling the will of the Most High and spanking his people. Let's go. He said, my servant, and will bring them against this land and against the inhabitants thereof and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them and make them an astonishment and an hissing and perpetual desolations. Moreover, I will take from them the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness and the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride and the sound of millstones and the light of a candle. What is that? Y'all heard that before. Y'all all heard that before. Let me read that again. Verse 10. Jeremiah 25, verse 10. Moreover, I will take from them, talking about his people, the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones and the light of a candle. Where did we hear that before? Let me show you. That's Revelation 18. Only thing, though, in Revelation 18, he's now pronouncing that on Babylon. That's right. It's in Revelation 18. He's pronouncing it on Babylon. Whereas in Jeremiah 25, he's pronouncing it on us. Which also goes with all the prophecies that say, I'm going to take the punishment I put on you and I'm going to put it on them that hated you. Right? That's Deuteronomy chapter 30. I'm taking the stuff that I put on you and I'm going to put it on the people that hated you. And see here in Revelation chapter 18, I'm going to start at verse, let's see. I'm going to start at verse 21. And I'm going to go down to verse 24. Revelation 18, 21 to 24. Now, this is talking about Babylon, saying the same thing, but now instead of on his people, the curse is on Babylon. Okay, so let's go. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of wherever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, and for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. So Babylon in Revelation is a worldwide system. And the curse that came upon the Israelite nation is going to come upon the worldwide system. And as he used Nebuchadnezzar as his servants to punish our fathers, so will we be his servants in the last days when he brings the punishment on Babylon. You see how this thing works? It's just like so balanced, isn't it? Back to Jeremiah chapter 25. Back to Jeremiah chapter 25. Let's read from verse 10 again. Jeremiah chapter 25 from verse 10. I'm going to continue reading down to verse 13. Moreover, Jeremiah 25:10 says, I will take from them the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, and the sound of the millstones and the light of the candle. And this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment. And these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. And it shall come to pass, when 70 years are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, saith Yahweh, for their iniquity. And the land of the Chaldeans will I make a perpetual desolation, and I will bring upon that land all my words which I pronounced against it. Even all that is written in this book which Jeremiah hath prophesied against all nations. Okay, let me stop there. So he said, I'm going to make Babylon that punished you with desolation. Well, let me ask you, does ancient Babylon exist? People think that it's Iraq, but I think that's a joke. Maybe Iraq is on that land, but there ain't no kingdom of Babylon there no more. And definitely ain't no Hamitic world kingdom there. Okay, that's gone. Just like he said. Well, brethren, the whole earth is now Babylon, under the system of Babylon, according to the book of Revelation. And the whole earth is going to be destroyed and made over by the Most High. And now he's going to pronounce that from verse 14 of Jeremiah 25, even into the end of the chapter, verse 38. See, so he starts off showing our people in Babylon, going to Babylon. Then he's going to switch it and show Babylon being destroyed and everything in it. It starts off with a 70-year prophecy of our people, and then it goes to the worldwide Babylon. Now, with all that being said, what is our position? We understand. We need to understand the truth. What does that mean? What am I saying? What truth? Well, first of all, we've already reviewed the truth of who we are. The truth of who we are. And understanding that truth from this book so that you can teach your children and whoever in your family or whoever your friends are that ask you, where are you from? We are the people of this book. Oh, you thought I was Dominican? Oh, my people came to the island of Dominican Republic from slavery. My people came to Haiti from slavery. My people came to Jamaica from slavery. And the slavery was because we were disobedient to our God. Who are we? We're the original Israelite people by blood. They might laugh. They could laugh. That doesn't matter. But you're going to worry about somebody laughing at you standing for your faith? They're going to do much worse than laugh. They're going to want to kill you eventually. Okay? They want to kill you. But it's all good. The Most High got us. Just like he had our fathers when he delivered them, he got us too. Let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 25, beginning at verse 14, going from verse 14. I'm going to go from verse 14 down to verse 18. For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds, according to the works of their own hands. For thus saith Yahweh Most High of Israel unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it. And they shall drink and be moved and be mad because of the sword that I will send among them. This is Revelation chapter 14 now. Then took I the cup at Yahweh's hand and made all the nations to drink unto whom Yahweh had sent me, to wit, Jerusalem and the cities of Judah and the kings thereof and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation and an astonishment and a hissing and a curse as it is this day. Starting with Jerusalem. Judgment begins at the house of Yah, brethren. Peter said that. Judgment begins at the house of Yah. So even there, and even we saw Ezekiel chapter 9, judgment begins at the house of Yah. So brothers and sisters, right now, the 144,000 are being formed. Judgment begins at the house of Yah. And he begins to seal us and prepare us. That's the judgment. He's judging in favor of us, and those of us that don't want none, okay, you won't get none. And those of us that are ignorant, sincerely, he's going to call out of Babylon. And those of us that are strong in the faith, he's going to cause others to cling to us for their own salvation. All of this is now happening. Okay, let's continue. From verse 19 down to verse 27. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and his servants, and his princes, and all his people, and all the mingled people, and all the kings of the land of Uz, and the kings of the land of the Philistines, and Ashkelon, and Azza, and Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon, and all the kings of Tyrus, and all the kings of Zidon, and the kings of the isles which are beyond the sea, Dedan, and Tema, and Buz, and all that are the utmost corners, all the kings of Arabia, and all the kings of the mingled people that dwell in the desert, and all the kings of Zimri, and all the kings of Elam, and the kings of the Medes, and all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world which are upon the face of the earth. And the king of Shishak shall drink after them. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the Most High of Israel, drink ye and be drunken, and spew and fall and rise no more, because of the sword which I will send among you. See, all of the nations, this is what I told you before, all of the nations around the nation of Israel when our fathers were there, all of them were scattered. It wasn't just us. All of those nations were scattered. Notice he said he's bringing the kingdoms of the north. It wasn't just Nebuchadnezzar. It was the children of Japhet later on after Nebuchadnezzar. It was Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, Rome. All of the kingdoms and families of the north. And they scattered all of those people. So all of the original people, including us, like we were scattered, they was all scattered too. Okay, they was all scattered. And it's a sign of what's going to happen now, where we are right now. In modern Babylon, a worldwide system of business, a worldwide system of politics, a worldwide system of religion. We're already here. A worldwide economic system. We're already here. I know a brother was asking me the other day, when do you think they're going to change the currency so that we all have one currency? I said, you don't know it's already done? You want to know how it's already done? How often do you actually get dollar bills in your hand? And how often do you actually use cards for your money? Especially in the developed nations. How often are you using debit and credit cards? When you get paid, do they tell you to pick up an envelope and come get these greenbacks? Come get these sterling? Come get these marks or these euros? No, it's on a card. It's already here. It's already here. It's on a card. It's in a system. When you go to check how much money you have, what do? You go online and you look in the bank where your money is. And what do you see? Numbers on a screen. Numbers on a screen is your money. They can add to that or take away from it whenever they want. It doesn't matter what the currency is. It's numbers on a screen. That's your money. Now, you want to take it out and you want to use it, you could do that. But they got the world conditioned for numbers on a screen. It's already here. So if somebody wants to say I'm a billionaire, that's just somebody with power clicking a few numbers on a screen. Okay? That's all that is. Somebody with power saying, give this person 10 billion. Numbers on a screen. Boom, there it is. You now are 10 billion. If they wanted to create a billionaire, They can create that billionaire by saying this billionaire started this business and it made so much money. And how do you know they did or they didn't? Numbers on the screen. And they put that name out there. This person is so brilliant. This person is wiser than all of us. He's just naturally, or she's just naturally brilliant and created this great business. And it's numbers on a screen. And you have no idea if it's real or not. It's already here. What is all stopping them from doing everything they want to do right now? Come on, brethren, talk to me. What's stopping them from doing everything that they want to do right now? What's stopping the enemies from doing everything they want to do right now? They would love to go ahead and do further damage, but what's holding them back right now? And why are they being held back? That's right. The only thing holding them back is Yah said, hold the winds until we have sealed the servants of our Most High in their foreheads. That's the only thing stopping. Okay? Because everything is in place. The one world system is in place already. It's all there. And you're going to see it get more exposed and developed in these next few years. It's already happening. I'm seeing it on the ground already. Okay, I'm seeing it on the ground already. And so as we are being sealed, the things are happening around us every day. And people don't even realize. How many people realize that we're already in a one world economic system and they don't even realize it? Like, how do you realize? How people think that, okay, I'm waiting for them to come out with the red money or the pink money or the don't matter. It's all digital. It's all digital currency. All of it. And when some country does something that the United States doesn't like, they say the world community is not with that. That's telling you there's a whole bunch of nations that are allies together. They're all respecting each other's laws, religion, currency. And let me ask you, you think they're working in righteousness? They're all fair and just. They take care of their poor. There's no homeless among them. We're already here, brethren. It's just getting more and more solidified, but the Most High is stopping it from going as far as they wanted to go because he is working on his sons. He's working on his sons and his daughters. He's getting his sons prepared. And so nothing happens until he feels we are ready. The storm won't come in its fullness until we are ready to stand on the rock, brethren. And we are being prepared. And we want to, right? The true servants want to give glory to the Father. And so they want to be prepared. This is not about us marching in the streets. This is not about us making bombs and blowing anything up. This is not about us trying to be malicious. This is not about that. We are being taken, as it were, into the wilderness by Father Yah and by Messiah. And we're being taught. We're being taught his word. We're not trying to create war. The war will come to us. We don't have to create it. Did Messiah try to create war? Did he march on Jerusalem? Did he tell his disciples, grab your swords and let's fight? And yet, did hostility come to him? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Did the Apostle Paul go to all of these lands and say, let's start war, let's gather together and let's create the nation and let's take over? Nope. But was every place he went, was there a ruckus? Yes, there was. So, brethren, let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 25. I'm going to start at verse 28. From verse 28 down to verse 32. Jeremiah chapter 25 from 28 to 32. And it shall be, if they refuse to take the cup at thy hand to drink, then thou shalt say unto them, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, ye shall certainly drink. For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name. Wait, watch this now. Verse 29. Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 29. Watch this now. For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name. And should ye be utterly unpunished? See, judgment begins at the house of Yah. And if it begins at us, how much those that don't obey the true gospel of Yah? And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where will the wicked appear? That's what Peter asked. Same question here. Ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the earth. That's everybody, saith Yahweh of hosts. Everybody. So shall the true Hebrews be dragged off in chains and the world just get over? Shall the true Hebrews be hoarded up in ghettos and the world just get over? Shall the true Hebrews be shot down dead in the street and the world just get over? He said what? For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name. And should ye be utterly unpunished? Ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the earth, saith Yahweh. Therefore prophesy thou against them in all these words, and say unto them, Yahweh shall roar from on high and utter his voice from his holy habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout as they that tread the grapes against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise shall come even to the ends of the earth. For Yahweh hath a controversy with the nations. He will plead with all flesh. He will give them that are wicked to the sword, saith Yahweh. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and a great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth. Oh, yes. Why do you think we see Messiah in Revelation chapter 19 on a white horse with a sword? Do we not? Wait, let's take a look at it. Revelation chapter 19. Revelation chapter 19, verse 11. Look at Messiah. Revelation 19, verse 11. Notice what it says. Revelation 19, verse 11. I'm going to read from verse 11 down to verse 19. Revelation chapter 19, from verse 11 to verse 19. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written which no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies which are in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations which shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Al Shaddai. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Most High, that you may eat the flesh of kings and the flesh of captains, the flesh of mighty men and the flesh of horses, and the flesh of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Yes, this is what's coming, brethren. That's Jeremiah 25. What we just read in Revelation 19, that's Jeremiah 25. You see how the prophets agree? See how the Bible is one? Back to Jeremiah 25, though. Jeremiah chapter 25. I'm going to start again at verse 32 and go down to verse 38. Jeremiah 25, 32 to 38. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and a great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. And the slain of Yahweh shall be at that day from one end of the earth, even unto the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be dung upon the ground. Howl, ye shepherds, and cry, and wallow yourselves in the ashes, ye principal of the flock. For the days of your slaughter and of your dispersions are accomplished, and ye shall fall like a pleasant vessel. And the shepherds shall have no way to flee, nor principal of the flock to escape. A voice of the cry of the shepherds and of the howling of the principal of the flock shall be heard. for Yahweh has spoiled their pasture, and the peaceful habitations are cut down because of the fierce anger of Yahweh. He hath forsaken his covert as a lion, for their land is desolate because of the fierceness of the oppressor, because of his fierce anger. Oh yeah, brethren, this is coming. In the meantime, we are to work with our Father and Messiah in preparation for this. We are to work and live as peacefully as possible in the midst of our own tribulation, as we are dealing with our own tribulation, and all of us are, in being prepared for the seal. We're being prepared for the seal because on a daily basis, we seek the Father's spirit of perfect righteousness. We seek to be guided by his spirit of perfect understanding and wisdom, eternal wisdom. We seek his word, and we seek obedience by his spirit. We seek Messiah as our high priest and intercessor between us and the Father, for that perfection to bring Father and Father alone, Father Yahweh, honor and glory. And we don't worry about fighting. We don't worry about marching. We seek to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Now, I'm not saying to let yourself get shot up, beat up. What I'm saying is try to avoid these situations at all costs. You know, some of the baddest dudes I used to know in New York were martial artists. And they were some bad brothers. I met brothers in the Bronx, brothers from Long Island, brothers from Harlem, brothers from Brooklyn. They were some bad brothers. And what they all had in common, all of them, was they would avoid fights at all costs, even if they had to run. They did not want to fight anybody. They were trying to avoid the conflict. Their first option is to try to get out, because what they believed in was self-defense, which means that you try to defend yourself if you have to, but you try to avoid the conflict first. And all the great martial artists that I used to meet back in the time, this was back in the 70s and 80s, they all would be very humble when you talk to them. They'd be very calm when they talk to them. They didn't want no fight with nobody. And as followers of the Most High, this is the same attitude that we should have. We're not trying to start a fight with nobody. We're not trying to get in a conflict. But if we're cornered and we got to defend ourselves, if the Most High don't deliver us, we got to defend ourselves. But at the same time, at all times, you want to be respectful of the law, respectful of the people of the land, especially of your enemies. And you want to stand firm on the truths that your Father's teaching you and guiding you to be prepared for your seal. And this brings us to Romans chapter 13. Romans chapter 13. So the apostle is writing to the Gentiles at Rome and to the Hellenists at Rome that were now being awakened to who they were. And now he's already explained to them that they are grafted into the nation of Israel. He explained that in chapter 11, that they were wild olive trees grafted into the wild olive branches grafted into the olive tree of Israel. And that they stand by faith with the nation of the obedient. Praise the Most High. Those followers of Messiah, those who receive Father's righteousness through faith, right? So now he's going to instruct all of the followers of Messiah, who the Bible calls disciples. That's what the Messiah's followers were called by each other, disciples. He's going to instruct the disciples how they should act among the heathen where they dwell, because now let's look at their situation. The Israelites were scattered into all of then known earth. During the Apostle Paul's time, Jerusalem was not yet destroyed, but they knew it was coming by the prophecies of Messiah and by the Old Testament prophets. They knew it was coming. And as scattered people, they were being told how to act in their enemy's land as awakened Israelites, as grafted in Israelites, and of course, the bloodline Israelites. They were told how to behave themselves, which teaches us today. How do we behave ourselves being captives in our enemy's land, having been brought to these places in chains? Okay? No matter what happens, brethren, going forward, nothing will ever change the fact that our ancestors were brought to these lands in chains. Nothing could ever change that. And there is no reparations that could ever pay for that. I just need y'all to hear that. There is no reparations that could ever pay for that. Ever. And what does that mean? All that means is we are seeking our help from the Creator. We're seeking our vengeance from Him. And our purpose for being is to glorify Him in our mind, our body, and our spirit. That's our purpose for being. To bring glory to His name by wearing His righteousness and walking in His wisdom. By walking in His spirit on a daily basis. That's what we're being prepared for. And yes, we got trials to go through, and we're going through them. But those things are to prepare us for the seal that's in our lifetime is coming. In our lifetime, it's coming. Praise the Most High. Romans chapter 13, beginning at verse 1. Romans chapter 13, beginning at verse 1. Going from verse 1 down to verse 5. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of Yah. The powers that be are ordained of Yah. Whosoever therefore resists the power resists the ordinance of Yah. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of Yah to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of Yah, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore, ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. Now, he's telling us to obey the law where we are. Now, the truth be told, the frustration, the anger, the bitterness that we feel have been, at least in part, foisted upon us by our enemies. Because ever since we've been in this land, especially the United States, since we've been brought here, we've been trying to be obedient to our masters. We've been trying to live according to the law. And every time we get a little bit ahead, they pull us back and destroy whatever gains we might have gotten, because they are afraid of what might happen if we actually did get ahead. But it's not ordained for us to get ahead in this system. It's ordained for us to awaken to who we are. It's ordained for us to wear perfect righteousness. It's ordained for us to inherit the kingdom after this one is destroyed. So we are frustrated and angry because we could be having a broken taillight and wind up dead. Is that true or not? We can send our little nephew to the store to get bread, and he could whistle at the wrong woman and end up at the bottom of a lake. Is that true or not? We could be going for a jog, and cats in pickup trucks with shotguns could just blow us away. Is that true or not? We could be sleeping in our bed, and they could be doing a raid thinking we got drugs and bust into our house and kill us. Is that true or not? We could be going to the store to get a bag of chips, and end up being choked to death. Is that true or not? We could be selling loose cigarettes on a corner and end up being choked to death. Is that true or not? So we have a lot of right. We could build up a neighborhood, build up a city. They could call it Black Wall Street, and it could be burned to the ground because people are jealous. Is that true or not? We could go and fight on behalf of our enemy's flag, come back in our uniform and be strung up by a tree. Is that true or not? I could keep going. And I think you get the point. So we can be extremely frustrated and angry. But how does that fit here? Well, brethren, let me tell you. Again, it comes back to us understanding who we are and how we got here. It comes back to us, the Father allowing these things to happen to us for us to be drawn and driven to Him. You see, brethren, we are in the awakening. In times past, our fathers are recently, I'm saying the last 200 years, you had people being driven to lengths. Nat Turner was. Malcolm X was. And they're driven into certain areas to do certain things, not finding the truth that we know today because we are being blessed with the final truth now. Like Fred Hampton, Kwame Ture, Martin Luther King. And here we are with the most recent truth, the present truth. The Bible calls it the present truth of the perfect righteousness of the Father. That's the present truth. The present truth. Here we are being prepared for the seal. Here we are in the last few years of the history of this planet. Here we are being prepared to represent Father's righteousness in the fullest. So at this time, brethren, let us not be found trying to create problems for ourselves. Caesar is not going to give us anything to make us equal with him. Unless you're an entertainer. And even then, you're not equal with him because somebody's paying you. Entertainment pays, right? But don't think that there's going to be any mass movements to make you equal with Caesar. He did not bring you into these lands and chains to make you equal with him. That was never the intent and is not the intent now. No, the intent now is a mass brainwashing. And we talk about this. It's a mass brainwashing of all the Hebrews and of their own cousins. To use white Jesus and to use false religions and to use belief in political systems to make us think everything's going to be all right. And they're just using it to control us. And that's all good when we understand what's happening. It's all good because we know the truth of the word. So you pay your taxes. You work hard. You do the best you can. You pray to your Father. You ask for wisdom. You ask him to guide you in the way you should go. And you keep grinding, seeking, developing, reading. Until the day comes when the Father, Messiah, look down and say, Father, this man, I speak on his behalf. He's ready for the seal. This sister, I speak on her behalf. She's ready for the seal. And he's going to do it. In the meantime, we don't start trouble. We don't look for trouble. Not that we ever really did. And the trouble we now looking for, and there are brothers out here looking for trouble now, but this was provoked over time and circumstance and situation. I will tell you that for sure. We didn't create ghettos. We didn't own planes to fly crack cocaine into neighborhoods. We didn't do that. But that was done. We didn't create privatized prisons, 3-strike laws. But now understanding all that and having an understanding of why it is and what's going on and how we getting out of it by the Father, Yah, we stay cool. That's what meekness is. We stay cool. We try our best to stay cool and be cool and walk in wisdom. Father's wisdom is eternal, brothers and sisters. He's the Alpha and Omega, the end and the beginning. He's at the end. He already knows the path, and he knows the path he's bringing us down. Let him lead us down. Trust him. We have the only true God. There is no other. Romans chapter 13, beginning at verse 6, reading from verse 6 down to verse 10. Romans 13, 6 through 10. For this cause pay ye tribute also, that's taxes, for they are Yah's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom is due, fear to whom fear is due, honor to whom honor. Owe no man anything but love, but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love, therefore, worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. So we try to walk in love. And of course, love is a part of righteousness, which he spent a large part of this letter talking about, right? Obtaining righteousness. And with that righteousness comes the Father's love. And he says, owe no man anything. So we try to stay out of debt, but I don't know if the Apostle Paul understood how Babylon was going to put the whole world in debt, because that's what they did. They got the whole world in debt. It's all good, though, because it's all burning. Verse 11. From verse 11 down to verse 14. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent, and the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envy, but put ye on the Master, Yahweh Shai Messiah, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. Make not provision for the flesh. In other words, what does that mean? We're preparing to glorify the Father. Put on Messiah, meaning put on the Father's righteousness, because Messiah is Father's righteousness. Put on Messiah means putting on the Father's wisdom. Why? Because Messiah is Father's wisdom. And when they say make not provision for the flesh, what does that mean? That means if you're seeking the Father's righteousness, you're seeking the seal. Put it plain and simple. Your goal is to glorify Father Yah, to live for Father Yah. In all thy ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Trust in Yahweh with all thy heart, and lean not to your own understanding. That's what he's saying there. And lean not to your own understanding. Make not provision for the flesh. In all thy ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. So we don't start trouble. We're not out here trying to start trouble, although my very words today, to some, would be starting trouble. But as we seek the word of the Most High and the Spirit of the Most High, there's going to be times where just by seeking that's going to be trouble. But right now, while we are in private with our Father and with Messiah, let us seek him. Let us not, marching on streets, trying to blow up stuff, shoot up stuff. We're being cool. We're being prepared. We're being prepared for what's to come. Keep getting prepared, brethren. Keep surrendering. Pray for me also that I also surrender. And I pray for you all that you continue to surrender. The Father's going to have his 144,000. He's going to have his chosen ones because he said it. Let's make sure we are among them by our own choice and destiny. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.